Okay, Canada, you need more proof that the political libertarians that are trying to bully their ways into the front and center to be the ones propagating the message of liberty want to learn what they really mean, want to learn how sadistic, underhanded, and the kind of trickery they use, how they can somehow change and mold their minds, their perceptions, their ideology to suit whoever, to suit whatever demographic or audience that they're perpetuating their message to. Listen no further than this interview by the Voices of Liberty, the Lions of Liberty, with Tim Moen, the leader of the Canadian Libertarian Party in Canada. Just listen up to this and pay attention. I warned you. Now it's time for you to see some real proof, or hear some real proof about what I've been saying all along.
Might honestly be one of the most interesting answers I've ever gotten to that question, because most people, it comes from them stumbling upon a book or stumbling upon Ayn Rand or hearing a Ron Paul speech, but for you it seems like it really came from a sort of a personal inner moral struggle. You actually really believed that you were going to hell at one point, and that really started your search for the ideas of, well, is that true? I need to dig deeper into everything, and it seems like that started just a broader search for, I guess, truth in the world for you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, truth mattered so much to me, and it always mattered so much to me. And I think a big part of the reason it mattered so much to me is that, I knew there was a hell, and I really wanted to avoid hell. And so I knew that there was a hell, and I knew that the contents of my heart and my mind was all important. And so I needed to make sure the contents of my heart and mind were perfectly aligned with reality to avoid going to hell. And so I incessantly asked everyone around me questions. I was intensely curious. I was never satisfied with the answers I got. So that really, I guess in one sense, having the threat of hell held over my head probably set me on this path of insatiable appetite for the truth.
You're definitely the first person to reference the threat of hell as what sent them down the path of liberty. So you definitely get points for the most unique answer. That's really interesting to me, Tim. And we maybe have some Canadian listeners out there. I know at least one Canadian friend of mine is listening. So obviously the ideas of libertarianism, the word libertarian, this is a word that a lot of Americans at least have some idea what it means. But I'm not sure if that carries over in Canada. Obviously you have a lot more experience with that than I do. But how do you present the concept of what being libertarian, what libertarianism is to fellow Canadians? What's your, say, 90-second elevator speech?
Well, I mean, first of all, I have to see, one of the first things that people ask me is, libertarian, is that like the libertarians in the U.S., those Tea Party nutters? And so right away, we have our work ahead of us.
And I'm like, that's not even like the libertarians in the U.S., but...
Yeah, I know, and that's at the end of it, I have to explain, look, that I know libertarians in the U.S., they're not the same thing. But no, I just explained to them, look, it's the typical speech. We're all about smaller government. We think that we want the government involved in less of our lives, and that some would call us socially liberal and fiscally conservative, but essentially we just want the government out of our lives, and we want the government represents force, and we think that force ought to be limited to protecting people, not imposing on people, and that's essentially where the conversation starts. And then we start going, I'm open to questions, and how do you solve this problem, and how do you solve that problem, and it's a difficult one to pitch up here in Canada, I find, because we in a lot of ways we don't have the culture of freedom that the U.S. has, especially with things like gun rights, in Canada, it's sacrilege to talk about ending universal health care. I mean, people up here just, it's like the Soviet Union back in the...
So, as you heard from the mouth of the leader of the Libertarian Party of Canada, in case you were confused up till this point, you heard it from the leader of the party himself, that it's about limiting the powers of government. Not eliminating, but limiting. So, once again, he's saying, I still believe in statism, the power of mysticism, of government, but we're going to limit that power. Seems like I've heard that before from many political leaders. As a matter of fact, look throughout all of history. And it's the go-to line for everyone that's seeking to change things, right? To take control, to take possession of that collective force, that ideology. So Tim Mullen, even though if he was talking to an actual real anarchist or a real libertarian, well, and he has before, look in the past, you'll see how he presents the libertarian philosophy or his principles to those people. Well, he would have to admit that there's no actual genuine role for government anywhere, period, because government is inherently evil and can be proven so. For those, and people that actually understand the philosophy of liberty know this. So Tim Mullen either genuinely knows this and is lying to you right now, or lying to these people that he's being interviewed by right now, or he's a mindless fucking moron that will just say whatever he's told. Or, I mean, you can come up with lots of, actually, I implore you to come up with as many fucking scenarios as you want to try to explain why this so-called libertarian doesn't have the courage and convictions to actually stand up and speak the truth when he has the opportunity. No. He has proven time and time again that he's willing to promote or narrate any ideology as long as it suits his purpose, as long as it benefits him. He don't seemingly give a fuck about being consistently honest for the sake of honesty, for the sake of trustworthiness. Let this be a lesson to you all. I've warned you all many times. And yeah, I look back at my prior videos and maybe I did it in a manner that probably was counterproductive because I was a little bit overly, emotional about the whole situation. Because, yeah, I felt massively betrayed. But at least now I've acknowledged the fact that it is what it is. I actually feel a sense of vindication at this point, at this stage of the game, because the proof is now in the pudding. It's out there in audio and video form, if need be, to see. Just do some research. Do some investigating, and you'll see, no matter how many different narratives you hear from many different people about what libertarianism, voluntarism, anarchism, what it all means, you'll realize that there are only a very select few of us out there, at this stage in the game anyways, that are being truly principled and honest with you. The rest are just Klingons, wannabes, people like this Tim Mullen character that are just trying to jump on the bandwagon and muddy the waters and distort the true, genuine message of philosophy and philosophy of liberty. Well, I won't stand for it. If anyone is ever going to learn and adhere to the proper morals, the philosophy and principles espoused regarding liberty, we have to completely set these liars, these propagandists, these bullshitters, these narrative creators, we have to point out what they are. And we have to show to the rest of the world, to the rest of Canada, to the rest of anyone that's willing to listen. We have to show them, see, they are not being honest with you. They are liars. They are deceivers. They're propagandists. They're populists. Whereas people like myself, not in it for the fame, not in it for any fortune, not in it for acclamations. I'm just in it because I believe in truth, honesty, and proper morals, proper philosophy, real principles, universal principles. Ones that have no ability to change and distort at any given time to align with whatever message, whatever bullshit you want to put forth. I recognize that I have to be principled, I have to be honest consistently. The philosophy and principles have to be universal, and they have to be consistent. Otherwise, it's just more bullshit, just more propaganda, just more twisting and distorting of the language. We got to stop this shit. No wonder people are confused. Is there any wonder why people are confused, confounded, and just pulling their fucking hair out and doing everything they can to suppress even having to deal with fucking trying to function in this world? Is there any wonder? I mean, look at everyone they look to for honesty, for truth. For the most part, are lying and deceiving them for their own personal gains. Don't worry, though, Canada. Don't worry the rest of the world. Don't worry anyone that listens and pays attention to my video. I will never reach that point. I hold myself accountable to truth, to proper morals, to proper principles, to proper philosophy. I will never let you down. I'm always going to remain steadfast and true to honesty. I hope many others will join me. I could definitely use the help. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.